Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take complex topics, pull out the key insights from the sources, and, well, make them clear for you. Today we're jumping into a really ancient story, one that involves divine judgment, a pretty desperate escape, and a family history that's, well, it's complicated.
It really is. It's a story many people think they know, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? But there's so much more going on beneath the surface. We're focusing specifically on that biblical account, and importantly, what happens after the destruction with Lot and his daughters.
Exactly. And our main source today is Genesis chapter 19. We're using the NIV translation, the New International Version, just so we're all looking at the same text, basically. Our goal here is to really walk through the events as they're laid out. We want to point out some surprising details, the tough moral questions, and what this story might have meant then and maybe now.
Yeah, so get ready. You might find layers here you hadn't really thought about before.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Genesis 19 opens up with two angels arriving in Sodom. It's evening time.
Right, and they find Lot, who's sitting right there at the city gateway.
And Lot's reaction is immediate. He sees them, gets up, bows right down, face to the ground. And he doesn't just invite them in, he really insists, no, stay at my house, don't stay in the square. He offers to wash their feet, make them food.
Yeah.
Unleavened bread, the text says.
And that insistence, that's key. It's not just him being, nice.
Right. What's behind that?
It's all about the guest-host relationship in that ancient culture. It was incredibly important. Offering protection to a traveler under your roof, that was a sacred duty.
Like a fundamental rule of society.
Absolutely. Breaking that trust, that was a huge deal. So Lot's urgency tells you a lot about how vital this custom was.
Okay, so he gets them inside, shows the strong hospitality, but things turn dark pretty quickly.
Very quickly. Before the guests even settle down for the night, the text says all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house.
All the men, young and old. That's intense.
It paints a picture of total societal breakdown, doesn't it? And their demand is blunt. Chilling, really. They yelled a lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them."
Wow. Okay. And Lot's response here. This is probably the part that makes modern readers most uncomfortable.
It's deeply disturbing. He goes outside, shuts the door behind him, trying to protect the guests inside.
And he pleads with the crowd, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing.
But then comes the offer.
Yeah. He says, look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you. You can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof.
It's just horrifying to think about, but from his perspective, in that moment, facing that mob,
He's prioritizing the guest protection rule above his own daughters.
it certainly seems that way. It shows the extreme lengths someone might go to uphold that societal imperative, even when it involves such a terrible choice. It highlights a clash of duties, perhaps.
But the mob doesn't even care about his offer, right?
Not at all. They reject it outright. They yell at him, "Get out of our way." They call him a foreigner, trying to judge them.
And they threaten him too, saying we'll treat you worse than them. They start pushing, trying to break down the door.
Things are escalating fast, but then intervention.
The angels step in.
Yes. They pull Lot back inside, slam the door shut, and then they act decisively.
What do?
They strike the men outside, all of them, young and old, with blindness, sudden, total blindness. So you just can't find the doorway anymore. They're groping around, completely thwarted.
A pretty dramatic defense mechanism.
And then the angels reveal why they're really there. It wasn't just a casual visit.
No. They tell Lot, we're going to destroy this place.
Yeah. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. The judgment is coming.
So Lot needs to warn his family. He goes out to his sons-in-law, the men who were pledged to marry his daughters.
These weren't just casual boyfriends, Being pledged was a serious, binding agreement in that culture. They were essentially part of the family already.
But when Lot warns them, tells them to get out because the city is about to be destroyed, how do they react?
They think he's joking.
Joking. About fire and brimstone.
Incredible, isn't it? It perhaps shows how complacent they were, or how little they regarded Lot's warning. Maybe they just couldn't imagine such a thing happening.
So dawn comes, the angels are pushing Lot, his wife, his two daughters, the ones that were still with him, to leave. Hurry, or you'll be swept away too.
But even then, facing annihilation, the text says Lot hesitated.
He hesitated.
Yeah.
Why? It's baffling.
It's a really human moment, though, isn't it? Maybe leaving everything, his home, his life. Even facing death, it's hard to just run.
So the angels have to physically intervene again.
Yes, the text is specific. The men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and of his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. Mercy, even in hesitation.
Once they're outside, the instructions are crystal clear.
Flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. Very direct.
But Lot, he argues again.
He does. He pleads, says he can't make it to the mountains, that he'll die out there. He asks if he can just go to a small town nearby instead, Zoar.
It's only a little one, he says.
Right. And surprisingly, the angels agree. They say, essentially, okay, go to Zoar. We won't destroy it, but hurry because we can't start the destruction until you're safe there.
Which is apparently why the town got its name, Zoar, meaning small or insignificant.
Exactly. So Lot makes it to Zoar just as the sun is rising. And
And then it begins.
the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens.
Just total devastation. The cities, the whole plain, everyone living there, even the plants, wiped out.
A complete overthrow, as the text puts it.
And in the middle of this escape, this chaos, we get that unforgettable image.
Lot's wife.
She looks back, despite the explicit warning, don't look back.
And the consequence is immediate and stark. She became a pillar of salt.
Why do you think she looked back? Longing, regret, defiance.
It's hard to say for sure. Maybe it was just human nature, a glance back at everything she was losing. But the story uses it as a powerful symbol of, perhaps, attachment to the past or disobedience to a direct command. The cost was absolute.
The narrative also makes a point of connecting this back to Abraham, doesn't it?
It does. It mentions Abraham getting up the next morning, looking out over the plain, and seeing smoke rising like a furnace.
The confirmation of the destruction.
Yes, and it adds that God remembered Abraham and specifically brought Lot out of the disaster. There's that connection, that covenant relationship playing a role even here.
So Lot and his 2 daughters survive. They made it to Zoar, but their story isn't over.
No, and it takes another deeply unsettling turn. They don't stay in Zoar for long.
Why not?
The text says Lot was afraid to stay in Zoar, maybe fear of association or just general trauma, so they leave a little town and end up living in a cave up in the mountains, just the 3 of them.
Isolated, alone. And this isolation leads to, well, a desperate plan.
It does. The older daughter says to the younger, essentially, look, our father's old. There are no other men around here. How are we going to have children and continue the family line? It's the custom everywhere to do this.
Preserving the family line. That was everything back then, wasn't it?
Critically important. Without heirs, especially male heirs, the family name, the inheritance, their whole identity just disappears. It's social and almost spiritual extinction they're facing.
So what's the plan they come up with?
The older daughter proposes, let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father.
Through incest.
Yes, and they carry it out. The text describes it quite clinically.
2 nights in a row, right?
That's right. First night, they get Lot drunk. The older daughter sleeps with him. The text emphasizes he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up.
He was completely oblivious.
According to the text, yes. And the second night, they do the same thing, get him drunk again, and the younger daughter sleeps with him. And again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up.
So the result is...
So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father.
And the story doesn't just leave it there. It tells us who the children were and who they became.
Which is really significant. The older daughter's son is named Moab. And the text explicitly states he is the father of the Moabites of today.
And the younger daughter.
Her son is named Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today.
So this story, right here in Genesis, is presented as the origin story for 2 entire peoples, the Moabites and the Ammonites. What's the implication of that, given their relationship with ancient Israel?
Well, the Moabites and Ammonites were often neighbors and sometimes rivals or enemies of the Israelites. So telling an origin story like this one, rooted in incest that happened while the father was unaware, it functions polemically.
Meaning it's kind of an attack.
In a way, yes. It paints their origins in a very negative light. It suggests their beginnings are tainted, scandalous. It helps define Israel's relationship to them, casting these neighbors as inherently other or problematic from their very inception, at least from the perspective of the narrator.
Wow. What a complex and frankly shocking narrative arc. We've gone from hospitality under pressure to divine judgment and escape to this really difficult story about survival and lineage in a cave.
It covers so much ground and raises so many difficult questions about morality, desperation, cultural norms, and divine action. It's definitely not a simple Sunday school story when you look closely.
No, not at all. And doing this deep dive really brings out those complexities, doesn't it? It forces you to grapple with these ancient perspectives on justice, family, survival, things that maybe still echo today.
Definitely. These themes are timeless, even if the specific circumstances are rooted in a very different time and culture. We still wrestle with moral choices in desperate situations, with the weight of family and legacy, with the consequences of our actions.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, to consider is this. When we try to look past our own modern judgments for a moment, what does this story really challenge us to think about? How do we understand the customs of another era? And where do people draw ethical lines when faced with truly extraordinary, almost unimaginable circumstances?